Good afternoon. This is David Grunwald here from Benepay, and we're going to be discussing this afternoon how you can approve your 1095Cs. Now, if you have been on the ACA webinars so far, you may already have heard this, but as we're going through the webinar, I'm going to be walking through the steps that you'll need to complete in order to approve your 1095Cs. As we're going through, if there are questions, you have a couple of options. There is a question area of the GoToWebinar toolbar, so feel free to type a question in there. And at the end of the webinar, I will have some time for questions. At that point, you can raise your hand by clicking on the little hand icon, and I will unmute your phone or microphone, depending on how you are accessing the webinar, and allow you to ask your question. Now, up until this point, there have been a couple of options for you to be able to view the employee's 1095-C data. And those two options were at the employee level. If we go into the employee information, under the Employee ACA tab, if we select coverage, we can look at the individual years. If we look at 2015, we can look at the data for that employee for each individual year that we're tracking. So that's one option for viewing the 1095-C data. Now, a second option is in the reports area. And there is a report called the ACA Data and 1095 Review. Now, hopefully you've had a chance to review that and take a look at your employee's 1095-C data. The report is helpful because it also identifies errors, so missing months or employees who have dates that are out of whack, things like that. So it will help to identify those errors. It will also let you know what the employee's status is, so full-time or part-time, and for which dates. So if you have employees that have missing statuses, this report will help you to identify those. Now, once you're comfortable with your 1095-C data on your report, then the next step is to approve your 1095-Cs. Now, this has recently been added to the Payentry system, and the place that the approval process is stored is at the company level. So I'm going to jump to the company setup, and it is under our ACA tab. So we're going to select the ACA tab, and you should see an additional option is now available. So we have the company ACA setup that we looked at before that stores your certifications of eligibility and aggregated group information. But now we also have the ACA form review and approval. So if we select that option, it will go to our ACA approval page. Now, from this page, you can view the employee's ACA data. So similar to looking at the employee's coverage under their ACA tab. So it's going to show you the same data that's stored there. Right now we're looking at 2015, so this is the information for Wendy for 2015. Now I can view it here just by looking at the information in the grid here. So I can see that she is set up with a code 1A and 2C for January, February, March, etc. Now, if I want to actually see what Wendy's 1095-C would look like, I can also click on the preview button over here to the right. So this is going to pop up a pop-up window just like all of your other reports. And once that has completed processing, that 1095-C, we can click on the form preview link, and it's going to open a PDF of the form. Now, unfortunately, it is in landscape, and it is crooked. So you may have to switch that around. But this is showing me a preview of what Wendy's 1095-C would actually look like. So I can review the 1095-C, determine if it looks correct, and we'll come back to our approval form. Now, if Wendy's 1095-C data looks correct, I'm going to check the box here that this is the approval box saying that Wendy's 1095-C is correct and I am approving that. So then I would go through my list and approve each of the 1095-Cs. Now, again, you can view each of them individually or you can view the data just in the grid format. Now, if I run down through the list and everybody on this page looks correct, I can select the check mark to check all of them and say that they are all correct. So now in order to save that, to save my approval, I'm going to click on Save Changes down here at the bottom. Now it pops up a little box that says, are you sure you want to save? And I'm going to click OK. And it's going to pop up another box. And this is similar to if you turn on the auto code selection. The system is going to pop up a little box, a little information box here. And it says that it is the responsibility of the employer to review all ACA returns before submission to employees and the IRS. The employer is solely responsible for ensuring that submitted data is correct. So what I'm saying by checking this box and entering my password is that I have reviewed the 1095-Cs and I believe all of that data to be correct. So all of the codes for all of the months are correct. Basically, give blessing to these 1095-Cs and saying, yes, they are correct, and yes, they are ready to file. So if they are correct and everything's good, we're going to check the box. And again, enter in our password that we used to access the Payentry software. So I'm going to enter that in and click OK. So now I have approved those 1095-Cs, so I can go on to my next page. And apparently for this company, because it's a demo company and there's only a few, there was only one page. So now that I have approved them, I have the option selected, and by default it selects to only show the unapproved forms. I've just approved all of my forms, so there's nothing left to approve. So I can look at my approved forms, and you can see here that they have been approved. Once all of your forms have been approved, once you've had a chance to review and sign off, check off those boxes saying that all of my 1095-Cs are correct, that's going to be the indication to BenePay that you are then ready to have your 1095-Cs printed. Now, if you're reviewing this information, if I went through and looked and there's an issue, in December it shows a 1H code, which is no offer of coverage. That may not be correct. I need to go in and fix Wendy, so I wouldn't approve her 1095-C form. Instead, I would go back into the company and to that employee and correct the issue. Now, if you need assistance in correcting any of those issues, please reach out to myself or your CSR here at BenePay, and we can assist in walking you through how to make a correction or making a manual override if one needs to be overridden. So that's the approval process. You'll go through and check those boxes. Now, one thing important to note, if I do notice an issue with one of my 1095-Cs, and I go into the employee and I correct the mistake. So if I went into Wendy and fixed that 1H code and overrode that for 2015, when I go back, after I've fixed the problem, when I go back to that ACA 1095-C approval form, you will not see the change happen until the following day. So in order for the changes to take place on the actual 1095-C, so at the company setup, ACA, and my ACA form review and approval, in order for the 1095 to change here, the system has to go through a recalc process. We're going to be running those recalc processes at the end of each business day. So if I've made changes to my employees' 1095-Cs today, I cannot approve them today. I will have to wait until tomorrow to go in and make those approvals. So those 1095-C updates aren't going to show up until we run that recalc process. We're going to run that between 4 and 5 p.m. each day, run through that recalc, and then the following business day, you should be able to see the changes to your 1095-Cs and approve those. Now, if you do, if you have some changes that you're doing, some major changes, and you want to see what they look like, we can force through a recalc. So if there are, extenuating circumstances, there's some issues that you're working through, and you want to see how that's going to look on the 1095-C, please again reach out to me here at Benepay. I can run just your company through that recalc process, and then in a short time later, you'll see those changes on the 1095-Cs. So that is the process for approving your 1095-C data. All of the 1095-Cs are there. Now, you may notice the employees that would not receive a 1095-C, so employees that are part-time all year, or for whatever reason, if an employee is excluded from the ACA from receiving a 1095-C, they will not be in this list. So unlike the report that shows everybody that was active for your company during that time frame, this is only going to show employees that are receiving a 1095-C. So if there's an employee in this list that was part-time all year, you may want to check the employee status and verify that it does reflect that they were, in fact, part-time all year. They should only be in this list if they are receiving a 1095-C. So that is the approval process. It's fairly simple. You'll run through, check the boxes, sign your life away saying that you acknowledge that it's your responsibility to review the codes, and that will then indicate to us that you are ready to print your 1095-Cs. Now, we are asking that all of this be done prior to March 17th. March 17th is when we're going to begin printing these. So we'll begin printing them and sending them over to you. And that is all I have. So now I'm going to open it up for any questions. I did see a hand up earlier, but I don't see it now. Linda, I see your hand up. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. And it looks like, Linda, you have muted yourself from your side. So if you can unmute your phone from your side, I can unmute it from mine, and you can ask the question. The other thing is, if you haven't already on your phone, if you haven't already entered your PIN number, you'll need to do that from your phone, or I won't be able to unmute you because the system doesn't know who's under which phone.